The Miami cruise terminal bustled with excited passengers boarding the Sapphire Majesty for my father's 65th birthday celebration. A 7-day Caribbean cruise, all-inclusive, supposedly a gift from my brother Marcus to celebrate Dad's retirement. I stood in line with my single carry-on bag watching my family ahead of me. Marcus and his wife Jennifer, my sister Olivia and her husband Tyler, my parents looking excited and dressed in matching tropical shirts that were simultaneously adorable and embarrassing. Next, the boarding agent called. I stepped forward with my ticket confirmation on my phone. Marcus appeared beside me suddenly, his hand on my arm. "Hey Kira. Can I talk to you for a second?" "We're boarding," I said, gesturing to the line. "It'll just take a minute. Step over here." Something in his tone made me wary, but I followed him to the side of the terminal. Our family continued through the line without looking back. "What's wrong?" I asked. Marcus had the decency to look uncomfortable. "So, there's been a situation with the tickets. The cruise line had some kind of system error and your reservation got cancelled." I stared at him. "What?" "It's not a big deal. These things happen. But the ship is completely full. It's peak season. They can't reinstate your ticket." He shrugged, the gesture too casual to be genuine. "I'm really sorry, Kira. We tried to fix it, but there's nothing we can do." "When did this happen? Why didn't you tell me before we got to the port?" "We just found out this morning. Didn't want to worry you during the drive." He was already backing away. "Look, we have to board. I'll bring you back a souvenir, okay?" "Sorry, sis." He turned and walked toward the boarding line, leaving me standing there with my carry-on and a phone full of useless confirmation emails. I watched as my family boarded the Sapphire Majesty. My mother looked back once, saw me standing alone and quickly looked away. My father never turned around at all. They were leaving me. Deliberately. The system error was bullshit. I'd worked in travel and hospitality long enough to know cruise lines don't just randomly cancel tickets for fully booked cruises. I pulled out my phone and called the cruise line's customer service. 20 minutes and 3 transfers later, I had the truth. My ticket had been cancelled yesterday by the person who booked it. Marcus. He'd called and removed me from the reservation, citing a family emergency that meant I couldn't travel. So this wasn't an accident. This was planned. I stood at the terminal window watching the Sapphire Majesty prepare for departure. 7 days in the Caribbean. My father's 65th birthday. And they deliberately left me behind. My phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. "Sorry about the ticket mix-up. We'll take lots of pictures for you." Right. I was about to call a car to take me back to my hotel when I heard a sound that didn't belong in a cruise terminal. The distinctive whump-whump-whump of helicopter rotors. Through the terminal windows, I watched a sleek black helicopter land on a designated pad near the private yacht marina adjacent to the cruise port. A man in a pilot's uniform climbed out and walked directly toward the terminal. Toward me. "Ms. Montgomery?" he asked, stopping in front of me. "Yes. I'm Captain Walsh. Your yacht is ready for departure. We've been monitoring the cruise ship's manifest and noticed you didn't board. Shall we proceed with your alternative arrangements?" I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "The Azure Dream, ma'am. Your yacht. We've been docked at the private marina awaiting your instructions." He gestured toward the helicopter. "I can transport you there now, or we can arrange ground transport if you prefer." "I think there's been a mistake," I said slowly. "I don't own a yacht." Captain Walsh smiled slightly. "Ms. Montgomery, with respect, Cascade Maritime Holdings owns 17 yachts across 4 continents. The Azure Dream is your personal vessel registered in your name 3 years ago. We've been maintaining her and keeping crew ready per your standing orders." Cascade Maritime Holdings. My company. The maritime investment and charter business I'd built over the past 8 years, starting with a single sailboat charter operation and expanding into luxury yacht ownership, marina development and cruise line consulting. The company my family knew nothing about because they'd decided years ago that my travel industry job wasn't worth discussing at family gatherings. The Azure Dream, I repeated, remembering. I'd bought her 2 years ago, a 180-foot superyacht, custom interior, crew of 12. I'd used her maybe 5 times, mostly for business entertaining. She was currently based in Miami for the winter season. "Yes, ma'am. Your executive assistant contacted us yesterday to have the yacht prepared for a possible 7-day Caribbean voyage. matching the Sapphire Majesty's itinerary. She said you might need backup arrangements. My executive assistant, Paige, who was brilliant and apparently psychic. I'd mentioned the family cruise to her last week, made some comment about Marcus being weird about the booking. She must have picked up on something. The yacht is ready now? I asked. Fully provisioned, crew ready, itinerary planned to shadow the Sapphire Majesty at each port of call. We can depart within the hour. I looked back at the cruise ship, now preparing to leave the dock. Somewhere on that ship, my family was settling into their cabins, probably laughing about how they ditched the family disappointment. I pulled out my phone and called Paige. "Hey," she answered cheerfully. "Please tell me you're calling from the yacht." "I'm calling from the cruise terminal. Marcus canceled my ticket. That absolute asshole. I knew something was off about this trip." I heard her typing. "Okay, I've got Captain Walsh there with the helicopter. The Azure Dream is ready. I've also taken the liberty of notifying the ports of call that you'll be arriving on a private vessel. You'll have VIP access at each location." "Paige, you're incredible." "I know. Now get on that yacht and have a better vacation than your terrible family. Also, I may have arranged for some surprise encounters at various ports." "What kind of surprises?" "The kind where your family realizes exactly who you are. Trust me." I could hear her grin through the phone. "Go. Have fun. Send me pictures of their faces when they figure it out." After hanging up, I turned to Captain Walsh. "Let's go to the yacht." The helicopter ride took 7 minutes. 7 minutes to fly from the public cruise terminal to the private yacht marina where the Azure Dream waited, gleaming white against the turquoise water. She was beautiful. I'd bought her specifically because she didn't look ostentatious. No gold fixtures or gaudy design. Just elegant lines, impeccable craftsmanship, and every luxury amenity concealed behind refined simplicity. The crew stood at attention as I boarded. Captain Rodriguez, the yacht's master, greeted me with a warm smile. "Miss Montgomery, welcome aboard. We're honored to have you sailing with us." "Thank you, Captain. I appreciate you getting everything ready on short notice." "Not at all. The yacht is meant to be used. I'm glad you'll be enjoying her this week." He gestured toward the main deck. "We've prepared the owner's suite, and the chef has planned menus based on your preferences. We're ready to depart whenever you give the word." I looked back toward the cruise port, where the Sapphire Majesty was just beginning to move. My family was on that ship, probably toasting their successful abandonment of me. "Let's depart now," I said. "And Captain, I want to shadow the Sapphire Majesty's route. Same ports, same timing." "Already planned, ma'am. We'll arrive at each port slightly ahead of them, giving you time to settle before the cruise ship docks." "Perfect." The Azure Dream left the marina with barely a whisper of sound from her engines. While the Sapphire Majesty lumbered out of port with 3,000 passengers, my yacht sliced through the water with only me and 12 crew members, heading for the same destination. I spent the first day at sea in what could only be described as luxury I'd forgotten I owned. The owner's suite took up a third of the upper deck: bedroom, office, private lounge, spa bathroom with ocean views. The crew was attentive without being intrusive. The food was restaurant quality. But mostly I worked, because that's what I did. I had a maritime business to run, deals to close, properties to manage. The fact that I was doing it from a yacht instead of an office wasn't unusual. I'd built this company to give me that flexibility. That evening my phone rang. "Marcus." "Hey Kira," he said, his voice falsely cheerful. "Just wanted to check that you made it back to your hotel okay. Sorry again about the ticket thing." "I'm fine," I said, sipping champagne on the aft deck while watching the sunset over the Caribbean. "Thanks for checking." Cool. Well, we're having a great time. Ship is amazing. Dad's really happy." "That's nice." "Yeah, so we'll see you when we get back. Maybe we can do dinner, let you live vicariously through our vacation photos." "Maybe," I said non-committally. After he hung up, I texted Paige. "What surprises did you arrange?" Her response came immediately. "You'll see tomorrow in Cozumel. I promise it'll be worth it." The next morning, the Azure Dream arrived in Cozumel at 7 a.m., 2 hours before the Sapphire Majesty was scheduled to dock. My yacht was given priority berthing at the marina, one of the benefits of Cascade Maritime Holdings owning a stake in the port facility. I decided to spend the morning at a beach club I'd heard was excellent. The crew arranged everything: transportation VIP cabana champagne service. Around 10 a.m., I was relaxing in my private cabana when I heard a familiar voice. Oh my God, this place is gorgeous. Marcus, look at that pool. Olivia. My sister had found the same beach club. I watched from behind my sunglasses as my family arrived. My parents, Marcus and Jennifer, Olivia and Tyler. They were shown to the general seating area, given regular lounge chairs and handed the standard menu. I was in the VIP section, elevated and partially screened, with a perfect view of them but effectively invisible from their position. Excuse me, my father called to a server. Is there any way we can get one of those private cabanas? I'm sorry, sir, the VIP cabanas are reserved for premium members only. There's a wait list, but generally they're booked months in advance. Months? That's ridiculous. We're from the Sapphire Majesty. Isn't there a cruise ship discount or something? The server smiled politely. Unfortunately not, sir. But you're welcome to enjoy our general facilities. They're quite nice. I sipped my mimosa and watched my father grumble about the unfairness of VIP access. Marcus was complaining about drink prices. Jennifer kept taking selfies, trying to make their regular lounge chairs look as exclusive as possible. This place is overrated anyway, I heard Olivia say. The pool's not even that nice. The pool was spectacular actually. Infinity edge, perfect temperature, pristine water. But from the general seating area, you couldn't see the best parts. Around noon, the beach club manager approached my cabana. A woman named Maria Hernandez who I'd met at various industry events. We'd served together on a tourism board for the past 2 years, though my family didn't know that. Ms. Montgomery, I wanted to personally thank you for choosing our facility today. We're honored to have you. Is there anything else we can provide? Everything's perfect, thank you, Maria. The service has been impeccable as always. Of course. And I wanted to let you know, there's a family here from the cruise ship who seem to be related to you. Same last name in their reservation. Montgomery. The man was quite insistent about getting a VIP cabana. She smiled slightly. Would you like me to send them a message that you're here? I considered it. The temptation to reveal myself now was strong. To walk down to their section and show them exactly where I'd been while they thought they'd successfully ditched me. But Paige had planned surprises for each port and I trusted her judgment. There was something satisfying about watching them from my elevated position, about having access they couldn't get, about being invisible while seeing everything. Not yet, I said. Let's see how the week unfolds. But Maria, if they give your staff any trouble about the VIP access, please let me know. Of course. Though I have to say, it's taking considerable restraint not to inform them that the owner of the beach club's parent company is sitting right above them. She gestured at the facilities. Cascade Maritime doesn't just own yachts after all. No, I agreed. We diversified into hospitality 3 years ago. Beach clubs, marina restaurants, resort properties. This facility has been one of our most successful investments. Your business acumen is remarkable. That tourism development conference in Cancun last year, your presentation on integrating maritime and land-based hospitality changed how we think about cruise ship excursions. I smiled. I'm glad it was helpful. The industry benefits when we all share best practices. After Maria left, I continued watching my family. They ordered lunch. Nothing fancy, sticking to burgers and sandwiches. They complained about the prices, about the crowds, about how the beach wasn't as nice as they'd expected. Meanwhile, my private cabana came with a dedicated server, a customized menu from the executive chef, and complete privacy. My lunch was grilled local fish with mango salsa, coconut rice, and a side of perfectly prepared vegetables. It cost more than their entire table's meal combined. Eventually, they left to return to the cruise ship. I stayed until sunset, then returned to the Azure Dream. How was your day, ma'am? Captain Rodriguez asked as I boarded. Educational, I said. Very educational. He smiled knowingly. Your family was at the beach club? You knew. Miss Page informed the crew. She wanted to make sure we were prepared for any interesting encounters this week. He gestured toward the main salon. She also arranged for you to receive daily updates on their cruise activities. If you'd like to review them. I followed him inside, where a tablet showed the Sapphire Majesty's daily itinerary and my family's booked excursions. Paige had somehow gained access to their entire schedule. How did she? Never mind. I don't want to know. I scrolled through the information. So tomorrow in Grand Cayman they have lunch reservations at the yacht club? Indeed. Which, as you know, is one of our properties. Well, technically owned by your subsidiary Cascade Hospitality Group, but effectively yours. And I'm a member. You're a founding member and sit on the board of directors. The club manager has been informed of the situation and is, I believe, looking forward to the encounter. I laughed. Paige is diabolical. Miss Paige is exceptionally good at her job, Captain Rodriguez said diplomatically. The next port was Grand Cayman. Paige texted me at 6 a.m. Today's surprise is at the yacht club. Trust me. The Azure Dream docked at the Grand Cayman Yacht Club, where Cascade Maritime Holdings owned a significant stake and where I was a founding member. The club manager greeted me personally. Ms. Montgomery, wonderful to see you. Your usual table is ready for lunch if you'd like. Thank you, Richard. I'm expecting some interesting encounters today. Ah yes, your assistant mentioned. We're prepared. Around 11 a.m. I was having lunch on the yacht club's terrace when I heard loud voices at the entrance. What do you mean we can't come in? This is a public restaurant. Marcus. Of course. I'm sorry, sir, but the Grand Cayman Yacht Club is a private members facility. We're not open to the general public. That's ridiculous. We're from the Sapphire Majesty. We were told this was the best lunch spot on the island. It is one of the finest, sir, but membership is required. I can recommend several excellent public restaurants. This is discrimination. We have money. We can pay. I could see Richard at the entrance, maintaining professional composure while Marcus made a scene. My parents stood behind him looking embarrassed. Olivia was filming on her phone, probably for social media. Richard caught my eye. I gave a subtle nod. Sir, the club does offer day passes on occasion. However, they must be sponsored by a current member. Do you know any members? Marcus deflated slightly. No, we don't know anyone here. Then I'm afraid I can't help you. But again, I can recommend. Forget it, Marcus snapped. Let's go somewhere that actually wants our business. My family left and I continued my lunch. Richard approached a few minutes later. My apologies for the disturbance, Ms. Montgomery. Not at all. It was actually quite entertaining. Would you like me to inform them you're a member? Or that you're actually on the board? Not yet. Let's see what other surprises this week has in store. That evening, the Azure Dream hosted a small dinner party. I'd invited some business associates who happened to be in the area. 3 other yacht owners, a cruise line executive, and a maritime industry journalist. We ate on the aft deck under the stars, discussing business and enjoying excellent wine. Around 9 p.m. I noticed the Sapphire Majesty lit up in the distance. Somewhere on that ship my family was probably at the buffet complaining about something. You seem distracted, noted Thomas Chin, the cruise line executive. Everything all right? Just thinking about family, I said. Complicated family dynamics. Ah yes. Nothing quite like family to make you appreciate the peace of business relationships. He raised his glass. To uncomplicated professional friendships. We all toasted and I found myself relaxing. These people knew me. Respected me, valued my expertise in my company. They didn't dismiss me or exclude me or leave me behind. The next port was Jamaica. Paige's text that morning was, "Grand finale today. You're going to love this." I dressed carefully, resort casual but expensive, the kind of subtle wealth that looks effortless. The crew arranged for a car and driver to take me to the resort area where the cruise ship tours typically went. I was browsing a high-end jewelry shop when my family walked in. "Oh, this place is too expensive," my mother said immediately, looking at the price tags. "Dad's birthday, Mom." "Let's at least look," Olivia said. I moved to the back of the store, pretending to examine a display case. The salesperson approached me. "Ms. Montgomery, we've been expecting you. The pieces you requested are in the private viewing room whenever you're ready." "Thank you, I'll be a few minutes." I watched my family in the mirrors. Marcus was looking at watches he couldn't afford. Olivia was photographing jewelry to shop for dupes online later. My parents browsed without touching anything, intimidated by the prices. The store manager approached them. "Good afternoon. Can I show you anything in particular?" "Just looking," my father said quickly. "Of course. Please let me know if you have questions." We offer very competitive financing options for our cruise ship visitors. I almost laughed. They were being offered financing. Meanwhile, I had pieces pulled for private viewing. I slipped into the private room, where a stunning collection of Caribbean-themed jewelry was laid out. Investment pieces the kind collectors bought. 20 minutes later, I emerged with 3 purchases totaling $84,000. The transaction was discreet, professional, and completed in the private room. My family never saw me, but they noticed when the store manager told them apologetically that the piece my mother had been admiring was just sold. Sold? Just now. Yes, ma'am. One of our VIP clients purchased it just moments ago in the private viewing room. There's a private viewing room? Marcus asked. For select clients, yes. I left the store with my purchases being shipped to the yacht, passing close enough to my family that Olivia almost bumped into me. She glanced up, but I was already past, just another wealthy tourist she didn't recognize. That evening was my father's birthday dinner on the cruise ship. They'd reserved the specialty steakhouse, the one that cost extra. I had dinner on the Azure Dreams aft deck. Lobster thermidor, aged Wagyu beef, wine from my personal cellar on board. The chef had made a special chocolate soufflé because he knew I loved them. My phone buzzed with photos from Olivia. The cruise ship steakhouse, the cake they'd bought, Dad, forced smiles around the table. Not a single photo included the space where I should have been sitting. The last port was Nassau. Paige's text, the final piece falls into place today. Be at the marina at 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. I was on the Azure Dreams deck when Captain Rodriguez approached. Ma'am, there's a cruise ship tender approaching. They've requested permission to get a closer look at the yacht. Apparently, someone told them it's owned by a celebrity. I smiled. Let them come close. A small tender from the Sapphire Majesty approached, packed with passengers taking photos. The yacht club had offered short harbor tours as an excursion, and apparently look at the megayachts was popular. I stood on the upper deck, visible but distant enough to be just another rich person to them. The tour guide's voice carried over the water. And this is the Azure Dream, a private superyacht owned by Cascade Maritime Holdings. The owner is actually on board today, quite rare. She's an American businesswoman in the maritime industry. The yacht is worth approximately $45 million. I could see passengers taking photos. Somewhere on that tender might be my family snapping pictures of a yacht owned by a stranger. Or rather, owned by the family disappointment they'd left at the port. That evening, as the Sapphire Majesty prepared to return to Miami, I made a decision. Captain Rodriguez, please arrange for a message to be sent to the Sapphire Majesty. Attention, Marcus Montgomery. Of course, ma'am. What would you like it to say? I thought for a moment. Tell him his sister is on the Azure Dream in the marina. If the family wants to meet her, they're welcome to come aboard tomorrow morning before the ship departs. 9 a.m. The message was sent through official maritime channels. I imagined Marcus's face when he received it. My phone rang within 10 minutes. Kira? What the hell? You're on a yacht. Hello, Marcus. Yes, I've been following your cruise route all week. Following what? How? You said you were fine. I was fine. I am fine. I've been having a lovely vacation on my yacht. Your yacht? Kira, be serious. I'm serious. The Azure Dream. I own her through my company, Cascade Maritime Holdings. We're at the marina. You're welcome to visit tomorrow if you'd like. Silence. Then, this is a joke, right? No joke. 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'll have the crew expect you. I hung up before he could respond. The next morning at precisely 9 a.m., my family appeared at the marina gate. The security guard checked their names against the guest list I'd provided and directed them to the Azure Dream's berth. I watched from the upper deck as they approached, their faces a mixture of confusion, disbelief, and dawning realization. They'd walked past several impressive yachts to reach mine, each one making them slow down and stare. But the Azure Dream was in a different class entirely. 180 feet of elegant design, she dominated her section of the marina. Captain Rodriguez greeted them at the boarding stairs, perfectly professional in his crisp white uniform. Welcome aboard the Azure Dream. Ms. Montgomery is on the main deck. Please follow me. I watched them climb aboard, their eyes wide as they took in the teak decks, the polished chrome, the sophisticated design. Marcus kept looking around like he was trying to figure out the trick. Like this couldn't possibly be real. I'd arranged the meeting in the main salon. Elegant, comfortable, and unmistakably expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows provided panoramic views of the marina. Original artwork adorned the walls. Not prints, but actual paintings by contemporary artists I'd collected over the years. The furniture was custom designed, the kind of pieces that interior design magazines featured. I sat in one of the designer chairs, coffee in hand as my family was shown in. I dressed casually but well, linen pants, silk blouse, the kind of effortless luxury that comes from actually being wealthy rather than trying to look wealthy. They stood in a cluster staring at everything. The custom interior, the original art, the floor-to-ceiling windows showing the marina, the visible luxury that surrounded them. "Have a seat," I said, gesturing to the sofa. They sat. No one spoke. Marcus kept looking around like he was cataloging everything. Olivia had her phone out but seemed unsure if she was allowed to take photos. My parents just looked stunned. "So," I said finally, breaking the silence. "How was your cruise?" "Kira," my father started, his voice uncertain, struggling to find words. "What is this? Whose yacht is this? Did you borrow it or?" "Wine. I bought her 2 years ago. The Azure Dream, 180 feet, crew of 12, home port in Miami, but we operate worldwide." I sipped my coffee calmly. "Captain Rodriguez has been managing her for me since purchase. He's excellent." Marcus found his voice, though it came out strangled. "You don't own a yacht. You work in travel or something." "You're not. You can't possibly." "I own a maritime business," I corrected, setting down my coffee cup with deliberate precision. "Cascade Maritime Holdings. We own 17 yachts, operate charter services, consult for cruise lines, and invest in marina development. We also own hospitality properties, beach clubs, marina restaurants, resort facilities." I paused. "Last year we did $32 million in revenue. This year we're projected to hit $40 million. The silence that followed was profound. I could hear the water lapping against the hull, the distant sound of other boats in the marina, the barely audible hum of the yacht systems. Olivia whispered, $40 million? "Give or take," I confirmed. "Revenue, not profit, though our profit margins are quite good. 23% last year. We've been aggressive about growth, reinvesting most profits into acquisitions and development." "I don't understand," my mother said, her voice barely audible. "How did this happen? When did this happen?" "I've been building the company for 8 years. Started with a single sailboat charter operation in San Diego that I bought with savings from my first real job out of college. 32-foot sailboat, basic charter license, 1 employee, me." I leaned back in my chair. "I lived in a studio apartment, worked 18-hour days, learned everything about maritime operations from the ground up." "But you never told us," my father protested. "You never said you owned yachts or had a company or—" I tried. Multiple times. I kept my voice level, not angry, just factual. "Remember 3 years ago at Thanksgiving? I mentioned I was buying a yacht. Dad, you said, 'That's nice, don't overspend on hobbies. Maybe stick to a kayak.'" Everyone laughed. I had just closed on a $50 million acquisition of 3 yachts and a marina facility. My father's face went pale. "Or last Christmas," I continued, "when I talked about our new marina development in the Bahamas. Marcus, you said I should stop daydreaming and get a real job before I turn 30. That development just opened, $25 million investment, already profitable." Marcus couldn't meet my eyes. "You all decided I was the family failure because I worked in travel. You never asked what that meant. Never asked about my business. Never asked to see my properties or meet my employees or understand what I'd built." I leaned forward slightly. "You just assumed I was struggling because I didn't follow your traditional career paths." Jennifer spoke for the first time. "But you live so modestly. Your apartment, your car." "I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in the Marina District because it's a 5-minute walk from my office and I value convenience over space. I drive a Prius because it's reliable, economical, and environmentally responsible. I don't wear designer clothes because I don't care about fashion." I shrugged. "None of that means I'm poor. It means I have different priorities." "The beach club yesterday," my mother said slowly, pieces clicking together. "In Cozumel. Were you there? In a private VIP cabana while you sat in the general seating area. Yes. And the yacht club in Grand Cayman? I'm a founding member and board director. Richard, the manager, knows me quite well. Olivia was scrolling frantically on her phone. Cascade Maritime Holdings, founded 2016. Kira Montgomery. She looked up, her face ashen. There are articles about you. Business journals. Maritime industry publications. You gave a keynote at some conference in Cancun. The International Maritime Tourism Conference, yes. About integrating luxury yacht services with land-based hospitality. It was well received. Why? My father asked, and there was genuine anguish in his voice. Why didn't you make us see this? Why didn't you force us to understand? Because I shouldn't have to force my own family to respect me, I said simply. You should have been curious. You should have asked questions. You should have wanted to understand what I was building. I paused. But you didn't. So when you left me at the port, when you deliberately canceled my ticket and boarded without me, I decided to stop trying to explain and just let you figure it out. We didn't mean, my father started. You left me at the cruise terminal, Dad. You saw me standing there and you boarded anyway. That was intentional. He had no response. Why? My mother asked quietly. Why cancel her ticket? Marcus looked at his hands. Because she's always been different. Always doing her own thing, not caring about what the family thinks is important. I thought it would be better to just have Dad's birthday with the successful kids. The successful kids, I repeated. I own a $40 million business, Marcus. How's your middle management position going? It was cruel but accurate. Marcus worked a decent job, made decent money. But he'd positioned himself as the successful one while literally excluding me from family events. I'm sorry, he said, and to his credit, he sounded like he meant it. I'm so sorry, Kira. I had no idea. None of us did. You could have asked, I said. At any point in the last 8 years, you could have asked about my work, my business, my life. But you assumed instead. We sat in uncomfortable silence for a moment. Then Olivia spoke up. Can we see the rest of the yacht? I laughed despite myself. Really? That's what you want right now? I'm trying to understand. Trying to see what we missed. I considered refusing. But seeing the yacht, seeing the physical proof of what I'd built, might actually help them understand. Fine. Captain Rodriguez can give you a tour. For the next hour, my family toured the Azure Dream while I waited in the salon. I could hear their exclamations, their disbelief, their slowly dawning realization of exactly how wrong they'd been. When they returned, they all looked subdued. It's incredible, my father said quietly. Kira, what you've built is incredible. Thank you. I'm sorry I never saw it. I'm sorry we left you at the port. I'm sorry for every time I dismissed your work or suggested you weren't successful. He paused. Can you forgive us? I thought about that question. About years of dismissal, of being treated like the family disappointment, of being excluded from photos and trips and celebrations because I didn't fit their definition of success. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe eventually. But Dad, you need to understand, you didn't just hurt my feelings. You showed me that your love and acceptance were conditional on me achieving success in terms you recognized. The moment I chose a different path, I became less valuable to this family. That's not true. Isn't it? You left me at the port, Dad. You chose your birthday cruise over your daughter. What am I supposed to take from that? He had no answer. We talked for another hour. Apologies were offered, explanations attempted, promises made. I listened but didn't commit to anything. Finally, they had to leave. The Sapphire Majesty was departing soon. As they walked down the boarding stairs, my mother turned back. Will we see you when we get home? Maybe, I said. I have to think about whether I want to keep trying with a family that only values me when they find out I'm wealthy. That's not fair, Marcus protested. Isn't it? I challenged. A week ago you canceled my ticket and left me behind. Today you're apologizing because you found out I own a yacht. What changed, Marcus? Me or your perception of my value? He couldn't answer that either. I watched them return to the cruise ship. Watched the Sapphire Majesty leave the harbor while the Azure Dream stayed docked, elegant and still. That afternoon, Paige called. So, how'd it go? About as well as could be expected. Lots of apologies, lots of excuses, lots of shock. Think you'll forgive them? Eventually, maybe. But things won't go back to normal. They can't. Normal was them dismissing me. I'm not going back to that. Good, Paige said firmly. You deserve better than people who only respect you when they find out your net worth. Agreed. So what now? I looked out at the Caribbean Sea at the azure dream ready to take me anywhere I wanted to go. Now, I think I'm going to extend this vacation. Maybe head to the Virgin Islands for a few weeks. I own a villa there that I never use. You own a villa? Cascade Maritime Holdings owns several properties for client entertainment. The Virgin Islands villa is my favorite. Paige laughed. Of course you do. Okay, I'll rearrange your schedule. Anything else? Yeah. Book me that Marina Development meeting in Monaco next month. If I'm going to be disappointing my family anyway, I might as well do it from a French Riviera yacht. Now you're talking. Have fun, boss. After we hung up, I stood on the deck watching the sunset. The Azure Dream would leave port tomorrow, heading wherever I wanted to go. My family had left me at the cruise terminal, thinking they were excluding the family disappointment. Instead, they'd freed me to enjoy a vacation they couldn't imagine, on a yacht they didn't know I owned, living a life they'd never bothered to ask about. I was Kira Montgomery. They left me at the port, so I took my yacht instead. And somehow that felt exactly right.